What's going on, y'all? Thanks for checking in the Khaliis Take. You know what to do. Hit that like, subscribe button. Also hit that notification bell just so you can get the newest and the bonus content first. But hey, let's just go ahead and jump right in.
You know, according to the reports, this guy definitely proves to be the missing piece for the Clippers, according to reports anyway. Now, of course, the guy I'm talking about is John Wall. We spoke on this topic before about him being a missing piece somewhat, maybe not in detail as we will now, but looking at NBA.com and a few other sites, just reading up on some Clippers stuff there, John Wall is definitely has some pressure on him right now, and only in a good way, not in a bad way so far, but if there was at least two sites that I could think of off the top of my head, I told you one of them at least, but that John Wall, is projected to be the missing piece that the Clippers have needed for, some time now. And if that's the case, then, I definitely hope that to see John Wall play at a high level once again, because like I said, for one, he's going to need to for his own career so he can stay in the NBA. And number two, he's just going to need to, just because, if he wants to win and be a part of a special situation, he's going to have to play at a high level so he can prove to himself again that he could be one of those high-end players and play at a high level when called upon. And I think John Wall really can do this. I really do. I hate to hear that he was contemplating suicide and all those things, because that's just not, something you want to hear from anybody in the world, let alone a basketball player, but anybody. It's just never a good thing to have those type of thoughts around you. And I'm so glad he's far from that. But, back to basketball, he's going to really have to, prove himself, once again, because in this league, it's all about updating your resume. If you're not doing that, then it's like, everything else is all for nothing, you know what I'm saying? So he's going to have to do that. And other players on his team going to have to do it too. He's not the only one he's not the only one that has to do that. I mean, he's not, excluded by the bunch by any means. Kawhi's going to have to update his resume. So is Paul George, so is other players on the team. I mean, it's a new season. Regardless of what you did last year, the year before, you got to be able to do it again this season. So, I mean, upgrading that resume is definitely what, this team in general needs to do, simply because, this team right here has had, the opportunities, to be great, and, things got in their way, more so, if you ask me, just injuries more so than anything got in their way of being the great team that they could be and possibly winning a championship. I think they would have definitely won one by now if it wasn't for injuries. Personally, I think they would have won one the year that Kawhi got hurt in the playoffs against the Utah Jazz. I personally think they would have won it then, So, everybody has to update their resume on this team, and, but John Wall might be the most anticipated one to update his, because we haven't seen him play at a high level in so long. It's like we don't know what to really expect from John Wall, or what John Wall to expect, when he's on the court. And it's going to be tough. It's not going to be easy. I think, John Wall's going to take it, one step at a time, not try to do too much, not try to do too little.
Just be himself, and he's going to try to, go out there and mimic what he once was, but not too much, I hope. And I hope that he goes out there and plays to his best of ability, because if he does, I think the Clippers will definitely reap the reward of him playing like that and find themselves possibly winning a championship. So, I mean, a lot is riding on him, and rightfully so, because the Clippers needed a point guard to last, since they started this operation with Kawhi and PG. And I thought that the point guard position was the only position that they were lacking in. Every other position seemed to be pretty much filled, or, taken to a level where they can find themselves, winning. And even without a point guard, I still thought they would have won the championship that year when Kawhi got hurt. to Utah, because even though they were down 0-2 every series, they still showed a lot of grit, a lot of fight, and they still showed that they were, one of the best teams that, we've seen in the playoffs that year. I mean, to be able to come back down from 0-2 every series shows how great of a team you are. Now, it does show weakness that you have, though, because it's showing that if you had a point guard, maybe you'd be up 2-0 in all those series instead of down 0-2, where you got to fight your way and climb your way out of the situation. So, I mean, of course, the Clippers don't hope to be in that type of situation anymore, especially with John Wall being around. So hopefully that part right there specifically is covered and, taken care of with John Wall in the mix. So the Clippers have a lot of high hopes for this guy, and a lot of fans do too, So I hope that, John Wall doesn't go in thinking there's all the pressure in the world on him, because it's pressure on this team as a unit, not just him, but he's a big part of it because he's the newest acquisition, or the newest big acquisition that they got, that a lot of people look at and say he can help take the Clippers over the top if he's healthy enough. And along with everybody else being healthy too, mainly Kawhi, of course, because he's the main guy. So him and PG are the main two guys. So with them two, you definitely have a greater chance, with them being healthy. So I definitely want to see, what John Wall can bring to this team, because at first I don't think he's going to, do as much. I think as the season progresses, he will too, because first of all, Ty Lue has to really figure out what he wants to do with John Wall, and he's really figuring out what he can do with him right now, because as Ty Lue stated in a video that I made about a week ago or so, about him and Reggie competing for the point guard position. So if there's a competition for the point guard position, then that tells you that, Ty Lue might not have all the pieces in place yet, what he wants to do with certain players, until everybody has, got in their right position. He knows who's what to expect from this guy, that guy, and then it all goes from there. So, as I said before, I'm rooting for John Wall. I really am. To see him come back from, from where he's came from with the suicidal thoughts and the injuries and, his mom passing, and a lot of things he's been through in the last, few years have been, detrimental to his career. And it's really, put a dent in his career, a big dent, I would say, in his career. You know what I'm saying? Maybe not a huge dent, but a pretty decent sized dent in his career in regards to, where he was to where he is now. But that's the one good thing about this league. I do like second chances are available. They do happen, and it's possible. And the possibility is here for John Wall, and hopefully he can turn it into reality and, silence all his doubters, along with the Clippers as a unit, silence all their doubters and get to the finals and see what happens from there, because this team is definitely talented enough to do it, no doubt about it. But also, in saying that, they also have a point guard in John Wall who was a top 5, top 10 point guard in the league. And, if he can get back to not top 5, but if he can get back to possibly like a top 10 point guard in the league, which is all he would need to do, which really shouldn't be that hard for him with all the talent that he has, and as good as a player he is, that's all they need out of him. The only thing the Clippers need is a top 10 point guard out of him. They don't need him to be a top 5 point guard like he once was on the Wizards. Top 10 is good enough. And I think if they can get a consistent, John Wall playing as if he's a top 10, point guard in the league, well, I think sky's the limit for the Clippers, and they feel the same way as well. So, like I said, I know some pressure is on John Wall in regards to betting odds and betting favorites, saying that, he's the missing piece for them, and that can put them over the hump, So if that's the case, then there is some pressure on John Wall to come out and perform, but there's pressure on everybody on the Clippers to come out and perform. So there's no need for him to feel slighted or anything like that, or singled out. It's just that you're one of, if not the newest acquisition, for the Clippers. And, you're a player that a lot of people saw as a star player at once and want to see if you still have anything left. So I hope John Wall proves a lot of his doubters wrong, and the ones who root for him, I hope he gives them something to cheer for, and, take it into the season and see what happens. But hey, that's my take on everything. Leave any comments in the comment section. Check out my other videos if you haven't. And hey, Khaliis out.